been a while in front of this light. Oh my god. Okay, it's been such a minute. I have my... Oh my god, it's a disaster in here. I just shove everything out of the way to get to my closet, which is also a disaster of all my equipment. Here's my ring light that I got on Amazon. I used to have fancy camera equipment. I don't right now. Here is my little camera tripod because I don't like this thingy. And we are gonna shoot things. I am very overdue in shooting a video for Chris Paul Rainbows and their new book. And I'm just gonna power through today. Pro photographer tip. If you ever need to know how something was shot or lit, look in the eyes and the reflection. See my reflection? The reflection in the eye will show you the exact shape of the light source. That's how, when photographers are learning, like when I was in school, we learned how to dissect how something was lit by looking in all of the eye reflections. It'll show you the placement of all the lights. Pro photographer tip there for free. I'm just getting ready. I have a radio interview at 11. So I'm taking some time to meditate first. I'm just about 20 minutes away from going live on the radio again. CKNW is having me on the Mike Smith show. Mike Smith show? CKNW is having me on, and I'm going to be talking about the largest ever voyeurism case in Canada. That was just resulted in a conviction that was way too short. So they've invited me on to talk about it, and I'm all dressed. I'm trying to be calm. I'm going to review my materials, and then let's hope the show goes well. Okay, I'm about to click into the Zoom. My stomach is so gurgly. I hope they can't hear it.
Hi, Kat. This is Tim from CKNW. How are you?
Good. How are you?
Good, thank you. We are about 4 minutes away from the start of the segment, so I'll just have you on standby for Mike Smith.
Perfect. Thank you.
My guest is Kat Arnett. Kat is a writer and cultural commentator. Kat is very popular on social media. Over 200,000 followers on TikTok, over 4 million likes on TikTok. She also does great work on Substack, and I'm very grateful for her time, and I'm grateful to welcome her back to the show. Kat, thanks a lot for coming on today.
Oh, thanks a lot for having me. I'm so glad that you wanted to take on this issue. It is absolutely shocking, and I think all women across BC and Canada, for that matter, really felt the impact of this announcement from the police last week.
How would you describe the nature of these crimes, and why do you think the sentence is inadequate?
This is absolutely an act of violence against women. His actions, he said himself in his own words that people should feel special that he chose them. We also that was part of his own words. We've also seen, and the judge admitted that the reason that she gave him 4.5 years is because he didn't respond to any sort of treatment. He was not remorseful, and his actions had increased since 2019. It had escalated to including CSAM, the child sexual abuse material, to including the theft of women's underwear. This is someone who is escalating in their pattern, and the sheer violence in general, you know, that feeling of being watched all the time that women have to go through. There are a lot of women out there who are already victims of voyeurism, but also sexual assault and other crimes against them, intimate partner violence. And knowing that there are just these threats out in the community, that is something that these women and girls are living with every day if you live in the Greater Victoria region. It's time for another coffee chat. What a month. Oh my God, what a month. May has been such a crazy month. This is May 31st when I'm recording this. I just didn't have time to record a coffee chat before. I've been so busy. I've been busy with book club. I have been busy with my clients. I'm doing some work for some nonprofits in communications right now. I have just been like, I can't believe how fast this month has gone by. I can't believe it's June tomorrow. June. Where did this year even go? So every time I sit down with one of these coffee chats, I try to think of a topic that would have helped me when I was starting out working in communications and working in media in general, but also just like when I started thinking about doing content creation more seriously. And today I want to talk about something that plagues not just content creators, but artists in general. I'm not talking about AI, although that is definitely a conversation for another day. I woke up yesterday morning having just the worst stress dream. I am a late sleeper. My alarm is set to 10:30 every day. That is the luxury of being a content creator. I don't have to get up at the crack of dawn. But yesterday on a Saturday morning, I was like bolt upright at 7 a.m. having an anxiety dream. And I'm not a person who has anxiety, but I do have stress dreams because of work sometimes, or at least I used to when I worked in corporate world. And it's been a long time since I've had them regularly, thank God. But they do happen from time to time. Yesterday specifically, I woke up because my stress dream was not about, things like being exposed on the internet. I mean, I posted a selfie of myself in a bikini the other night, and I was mad at a misogynist who was talking about fat bodies, and that's not what I was stressed over. You'd think that being a content creator, the thing you stress the most about is, did I say something wrong, or is somebody looking at me weird? None of that. The thing that really bolted me out of bed was, do I have enough money to pay for June's bills? And that is something I think a lot of content creators do not talk very openly about, because one of two reasons. Either they're independently wealthy already. A lot of influencers, a lot of the people that you see, they aren't starting from the same position of needing the money the way a lot of people do. And so they start from a position of like, hey, just look at my life that is already quite privileged. And that is very different from people who like are full-time freelancers and have worked in different media careers and stuff, who know the pain of an invoice date that is supposed to be paid in 30 days and it's paid maybe 60 or 90 days. That is a different kind of pain. Not to say everybody should have their bills paid. Not to say that any company should be getting away with that, but there is a different kind of stress. I lived for a very long time below the poverty line, not having regular work come in. When I was a photojournalist, I got paid very, very, very non-livable, very small amounts of money. And photography and writing is often a career early on where it's like, do this work for exposure. I've been doing this for 26 years now. I no longer do work for exposure, but at a time, there was a time that I did. And you trade off being able to pay your bills with being able to build your portfolio. And that's not right. And it probably shouldn't happen, but it does happen. But I'm now at a point where I have started to take this more seriously. I am doing more freelance work. I've decided not to go back into corporate world and just work for myself. And it is stressful. Conversations that I'm having with accountants about like making sure everything is, your T's crossed, your I's dotted, that kind of stuff. That is nobody likes to talk about taxes. I don't think accountants even like talking about taxes. And that's a different kind of stress. The bookkeeping is fine. Like I'm good at admin, but I think the biggest thing is asking for money. I mean, it's one thing when I'm in negotiations with a new potential client. Because I've been doing this for so long for clients, like in a different space, I'm able to know the rates. I know my worth. I know with the amount of followers I have and the engagement rate. So for example, on TikTok, I have 208,000 followers. My engagement rate is 11%. I know where in the line I should be quoting with my media kit and that kind of stuff when I'm reaching out to brands. And that I have full confidence in because I've been doing this for 26 years, not this specifically, but all kinds of things. And I have come to the point where I know not to undercut myself or anyone else. So that's not a problem. I think the biggest struggles that I've been finding is I really struggle with self-promotion and asking people to support my work. So, for example, I currently have no monetization on YouTube. And in TikTok Canada, you can't make money off of TikTok. So even though in the last year I've had like 30 million plus views, I get no money from that. That's a frustration for another day. Same thing on Threads. I pull in about 4 million views a quarter on Threads just from talking about stuff on there. And I see no money from that. I don't see money from Instagram. Although, to be fair, Instagram I've never taken very seriously. I always saw it as a platform to post stuff that my mom would see. Hi, Mom. And recently I've actually, with some of the friendly coercion of my friend Bailey, who's been telling me to take it more seriously because I am reaching out to and working with brands, I have been taking it more seriously. So if you'd like to follow my Instagram account, here's the link for it. But I also had to start up a Facebook account. I think I talked about that in a previous video where somebody was impersonating me. So I've had to start up my own Facebook account, but I have like 11 followers. It's not a source of income for me. There are 2 places that I make money, 3, I guess, but 2 places on the internet that I make money. And the first one is my Substack. Now, Substack, I write a weekly news roundup where I sort of say, here's all the stuff that you missed in the week. Here are the original links that you can go find this information to try to keep people more informed. And I keep that open and free because I think that news, first of all, it's not my original reporting. I mean, some of it is, some of it's my writing. And then some of it is me sort of being a pundit and saying like, and go read this piece. It's like promoting other news. And I want people to be able to reach those news organizations. So I leave it open and free. And at this point, the model that I'm using on Substack is more like, if you'd like to support me and appreciate what I'm doing, you can subscribe. And it's more of a like being a sponsor kind of a deal. You're not necessarily getting anything extra except for access to my chat there. And that's how I've set it up so far. But I love my followers. Oh my God, I love my followers, but I have a real hard time asking for people to subscribe. I've charged the minimum amount that you can possibly charge because Substack has settings where you have to decide what you're going to charge. And the minimum amount you can charge is $5 a month. So I set it at $5 a month and $50 a year. So you actually ended up getting 2 months free if you signed up yearly. But asking people to subscribe to it is like, I have a little thing in my Substack and I say like, hey, if you'd like to support me, I would really love that. But I often, oh my God, it's so hot in here. I often don't talk about it, but I do need the money, you know? And how are we supposed to let our audience know like, hey guys, like I really actually do need to pay my bills. Like, I have a car payment coming up. I would love for some people to support the work that I'm doing. I love that so many people tune in and so many people are engaged with what I'm doing. I would love if some people would financially engage with it as well. It's an awkward conversation. It feels like it goes against all of my rules of being polite to ask for money, but also I'm a business. So, I hate that conversation. The other way that I make money is I don't have a buy me a coffee like that website's account, but I have my own website. So on my website, there's a store, and in the store, there is a contribution to my coffee fund. So there's a little picture of my own coffee cup, and people can choose in $5 increments to buy me a coffee there or contribute to me as well. And mostly people don't know that it exists. Mostly that's my fault. I do sometimes bring it up every like 6 months or so on Threads. I will be like, hey, just letting you know that if anybody wanted to contribute, that would be great. And I feel awful. Like, I don't know how to get around that feeling. The third way that I make money is through Evergreen Post, and Evergreen Post is set up at $12 Canadian. Postage for each one is about $2 plus supplies. Like, I'm maybe clearing $4 of that 12. The rest is going into expenses, and I think that's probably being generous on my margins. But I love it. It's like a passion project. I have 8 subscribers. I know that there are people who do these print clubs, and for me, I always call it a mail club because it comes through the mail and I love supporting the mail, but it is a photographic art print club. So really I'm probably undervaluing my own art, but I'm doing it for the love and the passion of doing it. Also, I'm doing it financially because I would love to turn it into something I do full time. It is like the most rewarding thing that I do. It manages to marry everything that I've learned in my career as a photographer and working in studios, and working in like labs to print things out. It marries those two things together with my creativity, in addition to being an artifact that's tangible so that people can read them every month. And it is an AI, and it's such a personal connection, and I love it so much, and I am the worst at promoting it. Also, I'm having massive like stress attacks this month because I didn't get it out on time for May, because I broke my printer and I'm doing it all myself, and I needed to get a part, except the printer is discontinued, and printers are a racket. So then they're not a racket. I do love Epson, but I had to like find a piece that could replace the thing that I broke that now I fixed, but I won't have the May issue out till June 1st. So June and May are going at the same time. Guys, I've been having some stressful times. So I would love, if in an ideal world, I would love to see the Photographic Art Print Club, or my snail mail club, Evergreen Post. I would love to see Evergreen Post get bigger. If I had like 500 members a month, maybe 250 to 500, in that range, I could be doing that full time, I think, and growing it from there. I know there are some of them that I've seen that have like 7,000 members. Oh my goodness, I don't know how they do it. But I suck at promoting it. It's part of me, the artist part of me is like, maybe people just are not interested and that's why they don't want to sign up for it. And the marketing side of my brain is like, or maybe you keep forgetting to tell people that it exists. And that brings us back to the asking for money. I know that what I'm doing with my Substack is creating value. I know that what I'm doing with Evergreen Post is physical, like it has a physical cost to it, and it is of value at selling my own art. I just still really struggle with asking the general public to support what I'm doing. And I think it's because I know that we are all struggling so hard. I mean, everything has a monthly subscription option now. Everything is just, every time you turn your head, you're paying for something. Everyone's losing their jobs to AI. The world is stressful. Like, it is so hard because I understand. I know what it was like to be in a position when people would be like, buy my book, support this thing, please help me. And I was so broke, I didn't have like a Visa card to my name. So I couldn't even purchase things online because I didn't have a Visa card because I was so broke. And I remember how hard that was to feel like I wasn't doing anything to help the people in sort of my online community. And I never, ever, ever want to make anyone feel like that. It's part of why when I decided to start up Evergreen Book Club, the emphasis has been on library books, because I want to make sure people have access to things. My Substack is written about the news, and I think it's really important that people know what's going on in the news, so it's free so that people can access it. And while I would love to take on brand deals, I am being very selective with who I want to work with. Same in my career. You know, right now I'm in a point where I am working with some nonprofits, and I'm very selective about who I choose to work with there as well. I want to only work with businesses that align with my value, or nonprofits that align with my values. And in the past, when I worked corporate, I was working for an environmental company. So I think I've reached an age where I just realized like my values are so very important to me. And while I do want to work with brands, I do want to make sure they are brands that I align with, that I personally believe in, that they're doing things in a way that I want to support. You know, they are, whether that means they're like a Canadian company, or they're environmentally friendly company, preferably the both. If they have something that I can really get behind, it's just, I recognize that I've been able to build a platform that is full of really amazing people who really care about what's going on in the world. And I don't want to abuse that by how I am doing business. I don't want to push products I don't believe in, or that would be unethical. I would love money, not because I want some like fancy bags or whatever else, just to survive. And we live in a capitalist state. So like, you got to get by somehow. The bills got to get paid, you know. But it's this constant war. And I remember back when I was in photography school, one of the most interesting things that I learned in photography school when I went to Langara College, shout out Hudson Williams, fellow alum, what we learned then was photographers in British Columbia, and this is historical, so I'm not really sure if it still applies, but at the time, photographers in British Columbia were always seen as kind of cheaper or lesser, not because they weren't as good. There's the whole Vancouver School of Photography. We have great photographers in the city, but because the people in Toronto, did I say Toronto? The people in Toronto, they charged differently, and they charged at much higher rates, not because they were better photographers, because they were thinking more business minded. And the photographers in Vancouver always were like, I'm so grateful to get this work. Maybe you could pay me this much. And so chronically, the photographers in Vancouver were undercutting their own worth. And because of that, we were taught that, you know, oftentimes they weren't taken as seriously because they didn't know what to charge the way that Toronto and Montreal knew what to charge. And sometimes I wonder if that sort of carried forward. You know, many artists that I've known have had a real hard time valuing their own work and being able to say, like, because you enjoy it doesn't mean that it's not work, you know? Being able to say, actually, I do need to charge $600 for this piece because I know what work went into it and I know what the value of the piece is. That's really hard. That's a really hard step. And I'm finding myself at this moment being in this place where I like need to let people know that I have ways they can support me financially, but I also don't want to feel like I'm constantly pushing it down their throats. Like, hey, buy my book. I don't have a book, but if I had a book, you know, buy my book or support me this way or buy me a coffee or whatever else. I don't want to feel like I'm pushing people all the time. It's a real tricky balance. I am working on it. I am hoping that I stop having stress dreams soon though, because yikes, haven't had one of those in a while. If anybody has gone through this and has advice, please let me know. My goal for June is I am going to catch up on doing some videos about all the different evergreen post editions that have come out so far, so people can really see what I've done. I know that I've had a friend say like, hey, you never talk about the fact that this is art. Like you are printing archival art and sending it out. So I think I'm going to try to focus on that a little bit more. Although for me, part of it is also making sure that people are like inspired to have tangible goods and be part of this sort of slow art process with me. So after I had like my super stress dream and woke up and I took care of some business right away, and then had a whole day ahead of me, I decided to spend it reading mostly. I've been using Focus Friend. I don't know if you guys know that app. It's free. It's developed by Hank Green, and it's like a little bean that comes on your phone, and I named mine Mocha. And you say like, I need no distractions for this amount of time, and you can do up to 2 hours for free. And I turn on the little bean, and the bean knits socks. This sounds silly as I'm explaining it, but I assure you, at the end of it, see, like if you want to cancel midway, say you don't make it the full 2 hours, you make it like an hour and a half, and you cancel, it goes like, that's okay, you can try better next time. You know, like it's really sweet. But if you make it the whole time without touching your phone, then you get socks, and with the socks, Mocha can design their own little cute, it's very cute. Listen, most importantly, it works. And you can still get like text messages and stuff with it, and like use Safari for like iPhone. So you can still technically use your phone and people can call you, like that kind of stuff can happen. It's not blocking off emergencies, but it's getting me off of social media for a little bit. So yesterday, what I did was I put my phone in bean time, as I call it. I say to my friends like, hey guys, I just need a little bean time. And they know what I mean. So yesterday I sat down and read this entire book. They're YA books by Jennifer Lynn Barnes. There's the first series called The Inheritance Games. And I think this part of the series is the grandest game. It's like an original series of books. And then this is like how the story progresses. But they're YA, but they're like a mystery. There's like murder and intrigue and billionaires and flying off to places, but it's also like puzzles. So if you ever like National Treasure or anything where you have to sort of like the Dan Brown books where you're solving puzzles throughout and like following a trail of clues and getting to the next step. That's the kind of vibe. And every time one of these books comes out, I read it in a day. And there's only one other author like that. When I get a Jeffrey Deaver book or Lee Child, those are the two other ones, I usually sit down and can't stop reading until I'm done. But I would highly recommend, even if you don't think that you're a YA reader, I really liked them. And it's like it feels like watching a TV show. Reading the book feels like watching a TV show because you're constantly like, there's a cliffhanger and you're on to the next thing. And what's this puzzle? And what does that mean? And there's like, you know, romance, new adult kind of stuff in there, but not like sexual, just like, oh, he looked at me in a certain way. But for the most part, it's about all the puzzles and mysteries throughout. So I would recommend picking this up. So I was out supporting my library. And if you didn't see my other video, this is a book that, because by the time you're seeing this, it's going to be Pride Month for June. There's a book by my friend Chris Paul Rainbows that they wrote, and it's called Guinea Pigs Don't Wear Pants. Pick this up at your local bookstore, request it in at your library. It's an amazing book for talking to the sort of toddler age in your life, the young readers who do picture books, about how they express themselves in gender identity, but in the form of guinea pigs. Other than that, I have been actively neglecting my garden. It looks like a dumpster fire. Not quite a dumpster fire, but like I have not planted a thing. Dill has come back on its own. I have neglected my flower beds. One of my vibrating mole things that go in the ground got run over by a lawnmower. My herb bed is out of control, and the good news is we put up a birdhouse, and there's been a mother bird who's hatched a whole bunch of little baby birds, and they are thriving. And I finally figured out how to set up I have like a bird fountain that kept being knocked over constantly by something in the night. And I finally figured out how to make that not happen. So that's good. But other than the happy birds, the garden is not going great for this year. But the exciting news is I did just get my first email for my CSA box. So trips to the farm will be commencing. But that's May. That's May in a nutshell. I am behind on everything. I am stressed to the max. The next few days will be dealing with family stuff. All good, just, doctor appointments kind of stuff. If you like this video, please like, share, and subscribe it. I am really trying hard to monetize. I need 4,000 hours to monetize, and I'm in like the 400 range. So please, if you like this video and you enjoy coffee chats, recommend them to a friend. I would love to make that goal happen. I would love to see tech companies paying me and not just asking for money from the general public. But if you do want to support me, you can visit my Substack. I will link it here. And it should be linked in my bio or my thing down below. You can also buy me a coffee through my website or subscribe to Evergreen Post if you'd like to see what that's all about. If anything in this video sort of piqued your interest or you want to know more about it, please leave me a comment below. I would be happy to talk about this subject. It is a very big sort of taboo, I think, in creative spaces and in content creator spaces to talk about money this way. So not sure if people are going to appreciate it. But I wanted to be open and transparent with all of you because that's what I'm going through right now. And I think maybe if we started talking a little bit more about these things, then maybe it wouldn't be so scary and people wouldn't feel so alone and worried about like waking up in night sweats, having like, oh my God, how am I paying my bills fears? I know I can't be the only one. The coffee is done. And look, I have my cute little Canada mug with a little House of Parliament. Coffee is done, which means coffee chat time is over. I look forward to seeing you in the next one. Goodbye. Oh my God, I swear to God, if this stopped recording midway through, I'm going to riot. False alarm, it recorded. Oh my God. This month. On to June. Is this working? Okay. This is a mess. Uh-oh.